Welcome back. Let's shift our focus now to SU and the campus community. Today, we're kicking off a new series on this show where we bring on student entrepreneurs and business owners. Phoebe Gullingsrud started POV Marketing Company, now POV Brand Management, during the pandemic when she realized how valuable her knowledge of the digital space is. Now, almost 3 years later, POV is helping all kinds of businesses with social media management, strategic advising, content creation, and much more. More than 10 industries impacted, 25 brands transformed, and over 2,000 social media posts later, the company has turned into a six-figure business. It's my pleasure to be joined now in studio by founder and CEO Phoebe Gullingsrud. Phoebe, thanks for coming on.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So let's start with, what is POV? Tell me a little bit about the company, why you started it, and about the process of starting a business during the pandemic.
Yeah, awesome question. So in essence, POV Brand Management is a digital marketing service that is catered to helping the consumers and companies looking to cater to a Gen Z audience, but really looking into the broader scope and why I started this business in the first place. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I recognized that businesses had this tremendous opportunity to transfer onto online to meet their consumers in this newly digitally driven age. So I recognized that the companies that were able to employ effective digital strategies were the ones that were reaching their audience. So what I did is I started a company that could help businesses of all scales reach their audience on these digital platforms.
So what was behind the switch from POV Marketing Company to POV Brand Management?
Yeah, so we made the switch this fall after just looking back at all the things that the accumulation of knowledge that we've really gained over the past 2 years, and looking forward also to the fact that in May I will be graduating from college, similarly to lots of my team members, and we recognize that we want to take this to the next level and pursue it upon graduation. So in order to do this, we really have invested in rebranding and relaunching as an elevated service provider that can meet the needs of today's market and position ourselves to be able to do this full-time upon graduation.
So I want to go back to, you said you're graduating in the spring.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the challenges. Obviously, you're still a student. What are some of the challenges of being a student entrepreneur and balancing everything going on in your life?
There are definitely lots of things happening, and it's been a managing act, honestly, in organization to make sure that I have time for everything. But what I would say about being a student entrepreneur and what the biggest benefit is that I've actually been able to utilize my learning right away and actually see the value of what I'm learning in my classes and put it to use. And I think especially at Syracuse, we have so many great resources available. We have expert academic advisors that can offer so much support. We also have lots of different grants and different opportunities for student entrepreneurs. So really, while it's hard in managing school and business, I think that the community and the ecosystem for entrepreneurialism that exists at Syracuse does provide a much greater opportunity than it does a challenge.
Really, you're very knowledgeable when it comes to marketing and brand management. But specifically, I want to talk about social media. Where does your knowledge and expertise there come from? Is it just from pure use? Is it all about understanding trends? Like, what's behind the brains of the operation here?
The brains of the operation really encompass of a mixture. Obviously, we're all students, so we're learning a lot of the overall strategy and creative approaches in our academics. We are also all consumers that consume social media on a daily basis. So even when we're doing our scrolling, we're learning. And then being able to put this academic and this kind of being the consumer and our own experiences together to help actual services and gain experience, I think has also provided us a unique opportunity to gain knowledge on how these applications work, how we can utilize them to these benefits for these businesses, and that's really positioned us at the forefront of this cutting edge and emerging digital world.
So do you reach out to most of the businesses you work with, or do they reach out to you for a partnership?
Great question. Currently, I would say a majority of our businesses are coming as referrals that have just heard about us, or a client knows, or a personal connection. But that is kind of another hope that we have with this new business, is we're really trying to garner an audience and a community to increase our brand awareness so that these businesses know who we are, know how we can help them, and maybe someday they might come to us.
I want to put up some graphics here of some of the businesses that you've helped grow. We'll start with Showcase Kitchens. I mean, over a 40% increase in Instagram impressions and engagement. Let's go to 7 Oysters Travel, over 200% increase in impressions and interactions on Facebook and Instagram. And then the Center for Reproductive Medicine, over 236% increase in interactions on Instagram and Facebook. I mean, those are huge numbers, Phoebe. Take me through when you first get in contact with a business and how you grow them from there. Like, what are some of your biggest and best strategies?
Yes, so POV has created a very unified and cohesive process of how we take a client through and how we can add value. And where that always starts is with aligning with the client on what their business need is. Why do they need a digital marketing expert? Why do they need us? And what is their future? What are they trying to get at? So the first thing I always do is align that client with what their need is and where they'd like to get to. And then I bring it to my team, my amazing strategist, and we decide how we're going to utilize digital marketing to execute those business needs that they have. Once my strategist puts together a plan for execution, we bring it over to our creative who makes the actual digital outcome that we put out there, and then it gets implemented. And then after, once it's already out there, we measure our results so we can show return on investment to our clients.
When you started the company, was it just you doing all of this?
So I originally started it with one of my business partners, and since then I have grown the team to be 6 team members who each bring in, I think, the biggest asset of the company. They each bring in very diverse talents and backgrounds that truly make POV what it is. It truly allows for us to create the process that we can, and together we all execute what is POV.
So I kind of said it off the top, but it's now grown into a 6-figure venture here. But you started with basically nothing when you started this company?
Yeah, just started with an idea and an opportunity that we saw in the market, and really just put ourselves out there and refined it as we learned.
I also have to ask, obviously the COVID-19 pandemic affected us all in a million different ways, but what was it like for you starting a business during the pandemic?
I think that the COVID-19 pandemic, while this might sound crazy, offered us the potential that we were able to grow POV into what it is today. It was the COVID-19 pandemic that opened this opportunity that businesses could utilize digital, and it moved consumption online, and that's where we were able to recognize what the problem was at hand. And then, like I'm sure you've realized, the COVID-19 pandemic also allowed more time, as we weren't able to do our traditional things that we would fill up our schedules with. So I had time to actually come up with these ideas, come up with the execution, and build out this business. So while it definitely was a hard time, I think I was able to find opportunity out of it and really build what POV is today.
Wow. As a student entrepreneur, what's your advice for other students looking to start their own business or who have already started their business and are maybe struggling balancing their time, things like that? What's your advice for other student entrepreneurs?
The one thing that I tell everyone when they ask me for my one piece of advice is always to launch it now. Get it out there. Don't strive for perfection. Just go for it and refine. I think that as entrepreneurs, and especially as females, we have this feeling that we need to always be perfect and we need to wait until the product is at that perfect time. But what we fail to recognize is that with every product or service, there's a window of opportunity that you don't want to miss out on. So what I would say is launch it out there, get it out. There's always going to be mistakes that you make. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. But that's why you're doing it. You're doing it to become perfect. You'll refine it along the way, but just get it out there and start moving on it.
In terms of after you graduate, what are the plans for the company?
The plans for the company are to continue growing, to have an aggressive scaling 6 months ahead of us, and to be able to do this business full-time upon graduation.
All right, that sounds great. Phoebe Gullingsrud, thank you so much for joining us. After the break,